Welcome to everyone in the United States and around the world. This is Love, Truth, and Peace. I am your host, Dr. Melody Harris Barrow, coming to you live from Miami. Welcome to today's broadcast. This show was created to equip nations and people with the knowledge and tools they need to improve, create, build, prosper, and change their environment so that they can effectively lead to a better future. Today's topic, Africa Rising. Our guest, our special guest today, Anita Diop, Professor of African American History. Welcome, my love. How are you?
I am fine, and thank you. Thank you so much for having me on your show. I really appreciate it.
I am just excited that you are on my show, Your Royalness.
Thank you.
Holiness. I am happy. We are going to have a beautiful conversation today, Africa Rising.
Yes.
And most people think that Africa doesn't have anything, but Africa is rich, and we have to take control once again of our land, of our people.
Yes.
Everyone. That's why we're here to talk about it. So let's get started, my love. Let's get started. Now, I'm going to start off by saying that many in the world believe that Africa is poor, and it's not. You and I know you are a professor of the African history. So I want you to start talking about that tonight. Africa is not poor.
First of all, Africa is not poor. The world feast at the feet of Africa. From your cell phone to the tires on your car to the pearls, the diamonds, the gold, the bauxite. Of all the continents in the world, only Africa is rooted in the earth. All the other continents float. And of all the animals and species of birds and flora, it is Africa that has the most number of species of animals. And we know Africa is the cradle of mankind. We know that Africa contains the original man, the man that was actually formed and shaped by the hands of God. History tells us this. Anthropologists tells us this every time they do a new dig. They find older bones, and these bones are coming out of Africa. The voice of our ancestors are rising, and they're calling for the daughters and the sons of Africa to reconnect and be reunited. You know, Africa once had a glory before these modern empires. Whenever a man wanted to study and learn, they went to ancient Timbuktu, the center of education at that time in the world. So now in modern society, Africa is painted with one big broad brush.
Yes.
To say that it's poor, its people are uneducated, they're ridden with sickness and disease, and they're ridden with war. And for us in the diaspora, it makes us not want to go to the continent because we don't hear about any good things. But the ancestors, and I keep emphasizing the ancestors, our common mother and our common father, no matter where we live in the world, no matter where the slave trade scattered us throughout the world, we have a common set of parents. And those parents are rising their voice for us to tune in and hear and understand that in order for Africa to rise, in order for Africa to go on to a new glory, not the old glory, but the new glory, we must come together in unity. We in the diaspora must bring our technology, bring our education, bring our dedication, bring our passion, back to the sisters and brothers on the continent to join together,
Yes.
that we may make our parents happy, that we
That's
may
right.
make them proud, that we
Yes.
may heal the breach
I
that
got you.
severed us so
Yes.
many years ago.
Yes. I love it. And you said it with such passion. That's how I know you're my sister. Because you
Yes.
said it with such passion. I think also the reason we have such passion of the things that we're doing, Professor, is because there is a distance between us, between Africa and the African diaspora. And that's going to change very soon. Actually, that's changing now.
It's changing.
It's
Yes, it
changing.
is
I'm not
currently
saying it's going
underway.
to, no, it's changing. And we are connecting. And as we are connecting, you know what we're discovering? We are discovering the importance of our connectivity due to the fact that once we connect, we are talking, we are communicating, we are teaching one another. And that's the key. You see, when it comes to information, you know what I noticed? Africa is lack of information. We are also lack of information. So I notice now, in the last year, that when I'm speaking to my brothers and sisters in Africa, I'm discovering now that there's a lot of things they don't know, especially when it comes to our region. They barely know about slavery, what happened
Yes.
to us. There is a disconnection there, but we have to reconnect again. What do you have to say about that? Because there's a
I
disconnection.
think
Yes.
everything that you said is exactly true. There
Mhm.
are some countries, depending on who their colonial masters were,
Mhm.
those missing people from their community are never talked about. So, generation after generation, you have Africans not knowing how we came into the diaspora. And
Mhm.
then there are uh, other schools of thought where you have, say, for instance, the country of Cameroon.
Mhm.
Dr. Lisa Aubrey was very in the forefront, or the leader, in terms of uncovering Bimbia, a
Mhm.
slave port that people in the Cameroon walked by it every day, went fishing by it, but they never knew what that place was. And it was only until
Mhm.
she brought it to the forefront that Cameroonians been saying, were able to say, what? Slavery took place here? And then the elders began to come forth and give the stories of the missing children. And they
Mhm.
begin to connect the dots. So
Yes.
I'm finding that as we are uncovering information in the diaspora, we're sharing it with our brothers and sisters and on the continent, and that's bringing the knowledge, and is bringing the desire to want to know who our brothers and sisters are. When I first began to travel to Africa, Africans would say, "Oh, you're a Yankee. You're
Yes.
not an African because you're
Yes.
born in America." And for me, Yankee,
Yeah.
what does, But they see us as part of the American system, which we are part of the system, but we surely don't identify as a
Yes.
Yankee.
That's right.
Okay, so we have to help them understand that even within the American culture, we have maintained a cultural heritage here that is distinct from the other part of the American culture. And another point that I find is that many times we think, or we believe, or have been led to believe, that once we cross that middle passage, that our total memory was wiped out
Yes.
and
Yes.
we didn't bring anything with us. But what
Mhm.
I find is, and I talk about it in my book, Catherine Dunham, an African American cultural icon, is
Mhm.
how throughout the diaspora, We actually preserve different pieces of African culture.
Yes.
I had an opportunity when I was in Mozambique and I was talking about the different dance movements and how they evoked
Yes.
different gods and brought the presence of God into you. And they said, teach us this dance. We don't
Yeah.
know anything about it. And I
Wow.
was shocked.
Yeah.
I was shocked. You mean to
Mhm.
tell me that you was born and raised on a continent and you don't know the power of dance, the
Yes.
power of the music? So it's through our research and through looking into our own culture throughout the diaspora to find those nuggets. And those nuggets are symbols and they speak volumes to
Yes.
who we are and they
Right.
help us connect back to the continent.
Mhm.
Even something as simple as a musical note. I never knew how music could tell your ethnic group.
Mhm.
Okay. Each ethnic group has a musical beat, so much so that musicologists, I forget the man's name, but he studied music from the diaspora and he lived in Africa and he began to pick up patterns. Like if he listened to Michael Jackson, anything that he composed, he was saying, that beat just sounds familiar. So he
Yeah.
began to compare the musical beats of various composers to various ethnic groups. And he
Mhm.
was able to detail that this person must have come from the Ashanti tribe
Yes.
because this is their known rhythm and pattern, or this must have come from the Hausa people because this is their known rhythm and pattern.
That's
And
right.
when I understood that, I'm like, wow, we carry in our DNA who and what we are. We
Yes.
just have to study it to
Yes.
know how to get back
Right. Yes.
from whence we came.
Yes. I appreciate that. I want us to I want to talk about something that's very important because uh, uh, some other things that concerns me a lot. And I might sound to many that I repeat myself, but I think it's important to constantly talk about it, especially when it comes to business, doing business in the African community. And I really want us to talk about this, Professor, because we're suffering. There's so many in Africa that are suffering. There's so many in Africa that are leaving Africa because of the lack of opportunity in their own continent. They are leaving Africa, going to Spain, they're going to Lebanon, they come into the United States without documents. And this bothers me because for the continent to be so rich and having others come into the continent and take to build their nations and then come back with NGOs to feed us, to give us better water, that has to stop. When is it going to stop? And another thing,
It,
uh, just,
okay.
I just want to say this also. Uh, what bothers me also is the fact that when we talk about education, education, it all depends on the type of education that you're getting. Because if I'm being trained to steal from myself, if I'm being trained to hate myself, as I'm being trained to hate my brother, if I'm being trained to hate you, my sister, and then love someone that have colonialized me, that's oppressing me, and I'm hating you, there's a problem. And this problem is serious because, and this is why I want all of you that are watching this show, I want you to share it because we're getting ready to talk truth. Uh, I don't understand how we can be so well educated, but yet still be in the dark. But this is a systematic racism, and this is in the world. You're not excluded, Africa, and you know it. So when we intellectualize about all the things that we are doing, it's very simple. We need to look in within ourselves, we need to look at that continent. Everyone is taking and taking and taking and taking, and you have nothing, but yet your children have to leave the continent in order to travel overseas, to be mistreated, to learn the westernized ways. When is this going to stop? When is it our leaders in Africa stop stealing from themselves? Because that's what you're doing. I can understand why Europeans steal from us. But what I don't understand is, why is it that we go into our closet and steal our own shirt and not understand why? We need to break that down. You were trained to do so. Who do you do business with? China. Who do you do business with? Canada, United States, Europe. Why? You were taught to do that. So when I bring to you and I tell you, why is it you're not doing business in the Caribbean? Why is it you're not doing business in Latin America when your brothers and sisters are there? What's happening? But yet the people that's oppressing you are doing business there. They are exporting products that you are cultivating and exporting to us. And then they come in our country and export to you. I need you to see something here. When you speak about Latin America, Africa, this is what you say: South Latin America. Anything up forward going to Central America and North America, you don't know. I've always said Panama has the second largest free zone in the world. And when I mention this, or when I say this to my African brothers and sisters, they have no clue. The lack of information. That's what it's called. That's how you can be oppressed, due to the lack of information. But we're going to change that. We're going to change that, because you are only feeding those that's oppressing you and taking from your lands. So, my sister, I want us to talk about that today, because we have to first talk about the mindset of the people in Africa. You need us. You need the sixth region. You need those of African descent outside of Africa in order for us to come and inform you of what's going on in our nations. That's how we're going to rise. You cannot rise the way you are now. But it's the lack of information. And when you have a lack of information, what happens? You're going to perish. We have to change that, sister. Let's talk about that.
Okay. All right. You said a mouthful.
I know.
And I'm going to try to be as strategic as possible. The very first thing that comes to my mind when dealing with Africa and the diaspora is that of self-esteem. Self-esteem is not high. Self-esteem directs you in every situation to negotiate. If you do not have confidence in yourself, confidence in your brother, your sister, confidence in your mother or your father, if you believe someone that you do not know over people that you know, that is the problem. So because of colonialism and slavery, the Black race has been damaged. And in this African Renaissance, in this African rebirth, we have to recondition our minds and deconstruct those things that are constantly holding us down. Once we deconstruct and put our self-esteem in place and believe in ourselves, then we must begin to self-identify. Self-identification will lead us to self-determination. Self-determination will lead us to self-love. When we begin to love ourselves as individuals, love ourselves as families, love ourselves as community, love ourselves as nations, then we will see the second thing or concept of negotiation. And I'm going to give you a clear pattern of negotiation. The country of Senegal recently discovered gold, and foreign entities were called in to mine the gold. So the country of Senegal went into a contract with the foreign entities such that the foreign entities would earn 90% and Senegal would get 10% of the gold that was mined. See, let's throw away that contract. The new African coming through the African Renaissance would say, okay, this gold is in my backyard. I may not have the machinery or what it'd take to mine the gold, but guess what? We're going to set up a 10-year contract where I will allow you to come in at a 70-30 split. We get in 70 and you get 30. And over the 10 years, you will teach my people the entire process that by the time 10 years is over, we, the citizens of Senegal, will 100% be in control of this mining expedition. That's when you have self-confidence. That's when you have self-esteem, knowing you need help. But your help is not to, please just give us 10%. No, we're going to allow you to make some money, but you're not going to make all of it.
Yes.
And we're going to train our people to take over because our plan is to remove you. Once we come up to speed with knowledge have a knowledge base in our people on how to do this, we don't need you anymore. Now, if you want to continue to purchase gold from us, we have our sellers that will sell you the gold that comes from Senegal.
That's right.
So first, we have to raise that level of self-esteem, which leads to proper negotiations. Because Africa is not poor. I would say more like poorly managed. The resources are poorly managed. The resources are not negotiated properly. I had the opportunity to go to Angola, and I would have thought it was Mexican town or Chinatown.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
The Mexicans were building the roads.
Yes.
And the Chinese were building the buildings in the neighborhoods, and everything the Chinese did, it was written in their language. And I said, this would never happen in America.
No.
In America, you have to post the language, the local language. And then if you want to have, the other language, you can post it up underneath in smaller letters. But in America, it has to be English.
Yes.
And I remember when I was there, the president had come on the television asking the Angolans why they weren't moving into this beautiful apartment complex. And I did go to the complex. It was beautiful. I would have purchased one. And I was being funny, but I said, because everything is in Chinese. And since they're building Chinatown at the expense of the Angolans, it's saying in Chinese, no Angolans will live here. Only Chinese will live here. Okay. I was being funny, but that was the sense that I could take, because they're building in an African community for themselves. They're not building for the African community.
That's right.
And the same thing with those roads. Why would an Angolan leave to go to Spain or Europe when the Mexicans are there in abundance with Mexican shops? Everything, you think you're in Mexico, not Angola.
Yes.
That's how many Mexicans have imported and making their livelihood in Angola. And so that's another contract not negotiated properly. If you have the skills and knowledge to build roads, yes, you will come here and you will teach my people. And by the time the roads are built, my people are building the roads. That economy is staying here on this continent, because you know these Mexican men, they're sending the men there, but they're not sending the women. So they're sending their money back home. That money's not staying in Angola.
That's right. That is
these are the types of contracts that are improperly negotiated, because Africans have been made to feel inferior. So they make inferior contracts.
Exactly.
But when you get the notion out of your mind, get it out of your system, that God originally created you. And from you, all the other races flow, not the other way. All the races flow from the original African. So the blessing is with the African body and the African land. The whole entire world benefited from the African body in terms of labor. And they continue to benefit from the fruits of the land. But I want to take you on one little small discourse. Think about this. In the land, you have the oil, the gold, the diamonds, the bauxite. And every few years you hear, oh, we have a brand new, we never knew gold was here. We never knew oil was here. And religious books tell us that we're formed from the dust of the earth. And it's our practice, mainly our practice, that when we expire, we go back into the earth.
Yes.
All right. Now follow me. We go back into the earth. So don't you know that when you see this, you're seeing the gold, the diamonds, and the oil? Because when our ancestors are down in the ground after they have lived on this earth, they're down there, say, look, I'm going to give some gold to my people. So I'm going to make some gold down here. I'm going to go over here. I'm going to make some more oil over here, because I want this for my people. We are the gold, the oil, and the diamonds.
That's right.
So we're connected with the earth. That's right. And we have to realize the power that we have and what our ancestors are doing. I mean, can you imagine? You go over a land 200 or 300 years and there's nothing there, just dry earth. And then one day, woo, here's some diamonds. And we've been digging down here. Not just we just been walking past. We've been digging down here and there was nothing there. And then one day, here it is. That's because our ancestors, when they shed this body, they go down into the earth and create more resources for their offspring.
Totally agree with you, my sister. And it is important that we change the mindset.
Yes.
I think it's very difficult. I'm from Panama City, Panama. I have my brother here, that Mr. Don. He said, I have dual citizenship with U.S. and Panama. How can take advantage of this in connection with Africa? Well, I've been working a lot in Panama with people in Colón, in Bocas, and in different areas, and that's all Black communities. And as we know, and my brother know also, in Panama, there are Black people don't want to be Black. That's the reality, because we look at it as something negative,
Yes.
because of all the history, all the things that we were taught. We spend more time in our lives trying to assimilate, mimic, and that goes for Africa too. We're trying to mimic, we're trying to, and not realizing who we are as a people. We're getting ready to launch the 6 region Global Chamber of Commerce. I'm the founder and also the board chairman. Why am I doing this? Because I realize there's a gap. I realize that our people are suffering in the world, people of African descent, because we don't know who we are. And I want, and I've already done this, and we are getting ready to sign a MOU, mutual agreement, that we will be going to Panama. I've invited kings and queens for 2022, and they are coming to Panama to atone. They are coming to Panama in order to begin reconciliation with our brothers and sisters from the Congo, and that is in Portobello, the Congolese. They were taken from Africa by force. And then we have another set of Black people in Panama, and those coming from the Caribbean. And they came to build the canal. Now, the canal is making so much billions and millions of dollars. Do we benefit? No. The canal and the free zone is an area where it's in Colon free zone, and it's poor. Poor. That goes for Colombia. In Buenaventura, same thing. The ports are making money, and in that region, because they're Black people, it's very poor. Now, what do? We constantly have a president that come every year and promise us all what they're going to do. Nothing ever gets done. But some reason, though, that every 5 years they knock that door, we vote for them. We repeat ourselves over and over
again.
and again. Then I question, what is wrong with our minds that if we keep repeating the same thing, what results do you expect to have or to get? So this is why I built this 6 region of Global 6 region Global Chamber of Commerce, because now is the time to stop repeating the same mistakes over and over and over again. God created us to build and create, not to beg.
Yes.
We have been transformed into people of beggars.
Yes.
We want the program done, we beg. We want anything done in our community, we beg. When we beg, you're only going to get so much, but not to be equal to those that's oppressing you. So here we go. When is it now that my African brothers and sisters in Africa going to stop looking at me as a foreigner? Why should I, listen to me carefully, people, why should I say I am of African descent? Why should I say that I am Afro-Panamanian? Why do I have to always have something in front of Africa? When in fact, an Italian does not say, I am a descendant of Italy. A Chinaman does not say, I'm a descendant of China. You know why? Because they know who they are. But when someone tells you and define you and you accept it, that means you don't know who you are. Because no one can come and change my name, because I am going to tell them, no, I'm not Maria Teresa. I'm Melida Harris Barrow, because I know who I am. When is it we are going to get to the point that when Africans look at me, and because I was born in Panama, not understanding that I was taken from Africa, my ancestors. I was placed there under slavery. So why is it that I have to say I'm a descendant from somewhere when in fact I'm an African woman, in spite of the fact that I was born in Panama? You see. So what I'm saying is self-esteem is one thing, but knowing who you are is another. That will bring the self-esteem back up. That is why in 2022 in Panama, we are going to have one of the largest celebrations in Panama for all of those that was taken from Africa to the Americas, to the Caribbean, because it's time now for our kings and queens in Africa to come and atone as to why you have not come back and got us. But now they're saying, we are coming. Now they're saying, we have to atone. Now we're saying, we're going to do business together. Now we're saying, we are going to unite. It is time to rise. Because I stopped complaining and I adopted what God gave me. He said, Melida, stop complaining. Do not become a professional complainer. It is time now to build. It is time to create. It is time to connect. It is time to partner now with your brothers and sisters in Africa. So now it's done. They're coming. AIDO International Network have joined with us, with the 6th Region Global Chamber of Commerce, to have a huge event in Panama in order for us now to unite. This is going to be a global event. We need to heal. That's the beginning of coming together. It is to heal, my sister. Because if we don't heal, we're going to go back to another 400 years. Don't you see what's happening in the United States? They're losing grip. They're losing that grip. Why? Because we're rising. We're rising. They're losing that grip.
Yes.
Because they see that the black man is rising. And this is not about color. This has nothing to do with color, because we've been duped for many centuries to believe that those that's oppressing us are superior, have privilege. Yes, you created the privilege for yourself. But don't tell me that there's something wrong with my color. I love my color. And those of you that don't like your color, begin to love yourself. Because if you don't love yourself, you can't love anyone. So what I'm saying to my brothers and sisters in Africa, stop looking at me as though I'm different from you. Stop looking at your brothers and sisters in Africa as though you're different. South African, Nigerian, Ghanaian, you're all one on the continent. Your oppressors is who divided you to go against each other. It is time now for us now to unite throughout the world. And I mean everyone, my indigenous people of the world. It is time for you guys now to unite. What you see in Washington, D.C., what you saw the other day, and you have the nerve to call me a savage? My God. We have to begin now to understand what's going on this earth. God is in the midst of all of this. He's in the midst. He's watching what is happening. And you know what? He's bringing order back in the world. That is what's happening, my sister. He's bringing order back in the world. I give you the floor.
I agree 100%, totally. What we're talking about is the reclamation of our birthright. You know, they talk about reparations and how they want to go after the European countries that participated in the slave trade. Well, I have another caveat. I want to talk about those oil fields, those diamond mines,
Yes.
okay? Because they once belonged to my family somewhere in Africa. And so I want to reclaim that land that God gave to my bloodline, to my DNA. And that's part of healing, repairing the breach.
Yes.
There's countries, many countries in Africa that is offering land to those of the diaspora. In my case, I was offered land and also a title of development, which came with the title. Other people offered land at a lower price. So these are various programs that's going on that people in the diaspora can take part in to reclaim their own heritage. There must come a healing of the nations, a repairing of the breach between the two. I applaud your program in 2022, and I hope that my name is on the invitation list because I want to be a part of it. I have to be a part of it. Absolutely, I have to be a part of it. Yes, yes, because we have to recognize the things that we have participated in. I had the opportunity in 1997. That was my very first, my virgin trip to Africa. And we were in the village of Mampong, and we sat down with the chief of Mampong. And I was in college at the time, and you know, my first time to Africa, and the group of us, we were a group of students, we wanted to know why the Africans did not come for us. How come they didn't come rescue us or try to intervene? Because we only had our understanding from this side of the Atlantic, and he really hurt our feelings. Mm-hmm. And I want to say that this is not how all of Africa feels, but just to the chief of Mampong. And these were his words: when you knock down an enemy, you care not where he lands. And that crushed us. Wow. Okay. Because we weren't ready for that. We wanted to have the open arms. Oh, you know, my son, my daughter, come, you know, you're welcome back to here, Africa. He's like, you were our enemy. And in some cases that is true. But in other nations or ethnic groups, the total opposite is true. They fought to the best of their ability. They formed alliances with other ethnic groups to make sure that they would keep the people under their watch safe. Yeah. So you had some that participated, and you had some that fought against it. So you're going to find, as you go throughout the various territories and go deep into the villages, you're going to find different of opinion. There are some, this one particular group, the Ashanti, they will tell you, no Ashanti ever went into slavery because we control the slave trade. And I turn around and ask them, well, what good did it do you? Because you're here begging me as an American to be able to come to the US. and I said, look, you should have came through your ancestors the way I came to the US. Right. So that's a no. I'm not going to let you come to America because you think you want to have a better way. You should have thought about that down your DNA line. Mm-hmm. Because the same counterpart, the European counterpart, they became wealthy off of your decision to sell your brother into slavery. Yes. And now you, centuries later, you're begging You did not create the wealth the way they created the wealth. You can't do what other people do. Okay. So that's part of the chief of Mempong. Reach out to him. Make sure he's there because he needs to atone for his ancestors.
That's right.
Okay. And if they would be truthful, some of them are ashamed. Some of them know their family history, that they were part of the slave trade, and some of them don't, or they may not admit it.
Yes.
But if they are a long reigning royalty, they know their family history. They should. Okay. They should.
They should.
So if they're honest, they should come and apologize. And allow us to air our grievances.
Yes.
And have that moment of forgiveness, that moment of reconnecting.
Yes.
And that is the first level to build. To your viewers' question about having a dual citizenship and how can Africa help with those in the diaspora. The ones in the diaspora, one, they should be connected to a group that's actively engaged with Africa. Yeah. Okay. And two, the Africans on the continent, if they are growers of, say, cocoa, they should be actively engaging, looking for those in the diaspora.
Yes.
Knowing that great empires come and go. Yes. And what we're seeing is a paradigm shift.
Yes.
So the great America is falling. We're witnessing its fall.
Yes.
So business is not going to continue as usual. So those that have their ear to the ground, have their eyes open, and have this eye open, okay, will understand that Africa is rising and its descendants are positioning themselves in every economic way of this world. So if you're growing cocoa, if you have a rubber farm in the Congo, then you need to be looking at manufacturers who can manufacture your items in Panama, in Colombia, in Brazil, in Argentina, in Chile, in Bahamas, Suriname, okay? Just to name a few. Yes,
I love
we have to connect. We have to connect because we have the workers. We have the workers. We have to be smart with our resources. If we have a fig tree, then we need to figure out how to make some fig juice, some fig Newton, some figgy putty. Okay, we have to manufacture and process the natural raw materials that's produced in Africa. If we don't have control of them, our governments need to renegotiate all of the contracts. Yes. And put the resources back in the hands of the people. And that's what President Mugabe tried to do with Zimbabwe. And you see, he had a lot of pushback from his people because Zimbabwe was like the #1 farmer or farming, that produced agriculture and exported farm goods. Somewhere in our mind, in our psyche, in this system, we've been told that farming is not good. Yes. But farming is the wealth of the nation. People are going to eat. If they don't do anything else, they are going to eat. So in Zimbabwe, the people pushed back and they didn't want to be farmers. But all of the farmers that were in Zimbabwe were wealthy, but they didn't equate wealth to farming. We get stuck at, well, we want to wear a business suit. We want to have an office and a computer. That's a symbol of wealth for African. That mind has to change. That mind has to change in order for us to repossess our natural resources and put our people to work so they don't have to get on a boat. There was a movie called Passport. It was made in Senegal, and the whole theme of the movie were these young men and women would get their passport, and their families would raise the money for them to take that small little dinghy over to Europe, and that would be the last time they would see them because they would drown at sea.
Mm-hmm.
That's terrible.
Yeah.
When you have gold in your country and your people have to flee your country because the contract for your natural resources are making foreigners rich and your people poor, that contract has to be torn up and renegotiated. So that young man or young woman that got on that little dinghy and drowned 13 miles away from the shoreline,
yes,
it should not happen. That's a travesty.
It should
That's
not. Right, and this is why I took this past summer, when COVID came out. Sorry about that. I took this summer when COVID came out, and I said, I'm going to take this time, instead of going through fear with COVID. What I did was I just stood up and I said, God gave this project to me, and I'm going to take this project, and during all the chaos, I created the 6th Region Global Chamber of Commerce. Now,
that's right. And I applaud you.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Now, the thing is this, all the things that you just, you spoke about, you mentioned the cocoa. The cocoa is cultivated in Africa, right?
Yes.
And it's a raw material. But
yes.
they do not process the cocoa in Africa. The processing takes place in Europe. Now tell me, why is it that they can't process the cocoa? Who owns the land that is being cultivated on? And why is it we can't process the cocoa in Panama or in Colombia or in Costa Rica? See, all that's getting ready to change.
Yes.
The 6th Region Global Chamber of Commerce is going to be the bridge between Africa and the African diaspora and the world. Because the African Union, we have now the African Continental Free Trade Agreement, which Africans are going to begin to trade with each other. Now, this is where the 6th region steps in. The 6th region now, we are going to come and bring businesses to you from our region, and we are going to be doing business together. That is the purpose of the 6th region. Now, no longer do we have to beg. Why are we begging if we have what it takes in order to build and create? Why is it my people in Cologne are suffering? Because of the mindset. You are brilliant people. My people in Boca del Toro, in Darien, brilliant people. The thing is that you lack information. The information is vital, because if Africans knew about the Cologne Free Zone, trust me, they would be there. Never in the history have we had any African businesses on the 2nd largest free zone in the world. That's going to change. You see, we have the power. We're just not using it. Why? We don't have the information. And as the gentleman here said, Erindele, Panama 22 will be the next FESTAC. Spell that out for me, Erindele, because I've never heard of that program, in 2022. So what you need to do, Erindele, let's contact, let's connect with each other, and let's make this bigger than what I'm going to do and what you are going to do. That's the idea. The 6th region is connecting everyone. Everyone. And the lovely thing about it, we had a meeting today. It was about 38, 40 of us online, and everyone was from different countries. And not only that, for those of you, we are building branches. We already built a branch in Curaçao. We built a branch in Nigeria. We hopefully building a branch in Panama and in Costa Rica. We have a branch in Colombia. We have a branch in Milwaukee, Wisconsin. We have a branch in Eugene, Oregon. We are moving like lightning. You know why? Because everyone believes in that vision. It's not about Dr. Melody Harris Barrow. It's about the vision that God has given me, and now it's yours. So now we're working together. We have to move, because if we don't move, we're going to remain the same. So now, while we're moving, this is what we're going to do. We're going to go back to Panama. We're going to go to Buenaventura. We're going to go to these regions and speak to our brothers and sisters. Let us sit down and have the round table and say, Colombia, what is it that you need that Africa, that Nigeria can provide to you? Vice versa. Tell me if we cannot do it. We're already doing it. And that's why we are supposed to unite. This is why we are supposed to work together. And I'm going to give you the last word, because we were supposed to be on here 45 minutes and it's almost a little over 9 o'clock. So I'm going to give you the last words and we are going to close. Thank you. Go ahead.
I would like to say that Africa is rising.
Yes.
All hands on deck. Every sector of society. Everyone is included. No one is excluded. There is a rebirth, and it is up to us to gestate and come through that birth canal and take us on to that new glory that will bring unification, that will bring economic stability, that will bring the Africa that we want. And when I say the Africa that we want, Africa is wherever we dwell, because we are the sixth region, and the sixth region covers such a vast amount of land. So let's develop the Africa that we want. Let's have a positive mind. Let's love our brother. Let's shop with our sister. Let's not ask her to reduce her price. Let's pay. Right. Let's pay the price that she's asking, because she has people to feed. Because we are so distorted. We would go pay $450 for a brand name purse, but won't pay $45 for a quality made ethnic purse.
So
that's right.
Let us begin to trust one another and believe in one another. I'm sorry, I have a phone call coming in, and I hope it don't knock me offline. So we have to absolutely be self-determined, exhibit self-love, raise our self-esteem, raise our self-confidence, and most of all, have our autonomy and self-identification.
That is correct.
Kwaheri ya kukaona. Goodbye until we meet again.
That is beautiful, my sister, royalness. That's it. My highness, I love you so much.
I love you too.
I'm glad that we met, and I'm meeting such great people in the world. I've met quite a few kings in Africa. They've treated me royally. I want to thank all of them. Your Highness, I'm going to salute you today. Paul Uganda, he is the one that I'm working with to bring the kings and queens throughout the Latin America and also the Caribbean to meet their children, their lost children. And we're going to unite together. Thank you, Your Highness, and thank you, my darling, his wife. These are things that I'm working on, bringing people together. This is not just about business, but it's about culture. It's about our heritage. And our mission is to unite and empower Africa's sustainable economic development through strong partnerships and positive reconnection of the people of Africa and its descendants, according to the way we say it, but they're Africans, including the
Yes.
indigenous people worldwide. Our vision, the sixth region global chamber of commerce, is to transform Africa into a world-class economy. You know why?
Yes.
They already have the resources. They don't have to leave Africa to get it. It's already there. This is why
Yes.
Africa, you are rising. You are
Yes.
rising, and the sixth region global chamber of commerce is going to make sure that you rise, because when you rise, we rise. And when I say we, I mean the world. This is not a black
Yes.
thing. This is the people. We have to stick together. We have to work together, and we have to love one another. So those of you in, like the young lady mentioned, African American, my darling, they have given you so many names in the United States. They have calling you Negro. They have calling you all kind of names. And the last one was African American. So I just want you to know we're all one. All the names that they're giving us, you know why they do it? To separate us. But no more. This is what we're going to continue to talk about and preach. We are one, and that's it. And that is the way that we're going to come out of slavery, because the mind we have to work on now. Because if we don't work on the mind, on the mindset, we're going to remain who we are. And our sixth region global chamber of commerce, we are going to be launching on let's see, January 20th. We're going to be launching at 11 o'clock a.m. on Wednesday. I think the 20th is Wednesday, right? And we're going to be live. So I want to invite all of you. Anita, you have to be there, my darling. I'm going to be
Yes.
inviting you for you to come and speak also, because it's going to be live. I want to thank everyone that have watched this show. We're going to keep coming with this type of information for you, because it's time enough to educate each other. Those of you that are watching the show that would like to come on this show to educate the people of the world, you are welcome to do so. All you have to do is connect with me, Dr. Melody Harris Barrow. This is Love, Truth, and Peace. And thank you very much. I love you, my love, and I love all my audience. The last person, I'm going to take this one. She said, let's see, is that why they brand us with Social Security? Yes, my dear. That's your number from the time you were born until you die. You are a number, but no longer, because we are going to take control over our lives. You got it, Mama. Thank you very much, and good night. May God
Thank you
bless
for
all
having
of
me.
you. And I hope to have you once again.